We're going to go over 3 decorating techniques. The first decorating technique is called impression. Impression is when you press stamps and other objects into plastic clay. So this is an example of impression. I've pressed different objects into this to create the word impress. So this is like a beaded necklace. This is a seashell. This is the end of a tool, like just the handle of a tool. So pressing things in to create texture. It has to be done when the clay is plastic, which means soft, right? That's why we're doing it first. So up here in front of me, in front of my desk, there's all these little colorful tubs, and there's all kinds of pressing textures on there. Some of them are like rubber stamps, like what you would use with an ink pad. Some of them are clay rollers. You could roll the texture on there. Some of them are random objects that I found and collected, because art teachers are hoarders. Some of them are, this is a stamp made out of clay. This is just bisque clay that we carved a stamp. But anything that's kind of like already hard, you can just press directly into the clay. So I'm just kind of practicing on this piece. But anything that's soft, I'm just gonna flip that over. You need to put it on the clay and then take a roller and then it'll show up on there. So, impression, that's the first technique. So with the addition, that's when you add anything on. And we already know how to do that. We slip, score first, slip, press on designs when the clay is plastic or leather hard. So that's why we do this one second, because the clay can be soft or the clay can start to be a little bit dry, okay? So you can do it either time. And like on this, you can see that the things stick up. So you can attach flat pieces of clay, like I cut this out from a slab, this A. You can attach little snakes of clay or coils. You can attach little balls of clay that turn into kind of like polka dots when you score and slip them on. So you definitely need extra clay for this. If you don't already have a chunk of extra clay. So if I'm looking at the cat one, I think I definitely want the stem to stick up, because it's in front of the cat. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely going to add that part on. Same thing if I'm looking at this one. The strawberry leaves are probably the thing that would be sticking out the most if this were real. The like watermelon slices in the background, and then this is overlapping that. So that would stick out a little more. So I might add some clay there too. But definitely the little strawberry leaves. On the butterfly, what part would stick out the most on this? The antennas would, yeah. What else? The wings would. And then what's thicker than the wings usually on a butterfly? The little body, yeah, that's probably going to stick up the highest. So I'm for sure going to add clay there. So, like I said, with your clay, you can flatten out a piece and you can cut shapes out. So I could cut out the little pieces of strawberry leaf out of a slab. You could, like I said, for like the ends of these little antennas and the line on the antenna. So what I would want to do is roll out a coil of clay, and it's going to have to get really small for that antenna. So I think I'm going to have to spray it, or it's going to crack. So if this is my antennas right here, do you think it's going to be easy for me to score this really small piece of clay right here? No, it's not. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to score this. I'm going to score the big thing that I'm attaching the decoration to. And I'm going to put the slip on that part. So then I would apply the slip there. And then watch this part. I'm going to press it in very gently, but firmly press that in to the clay. So I didn't score the tiniest little coil, but I did score the object I'm attaching the coil to. So now that kind of leaves it looking a little messy. So you can take a paintbrush and go around there, clean that up a little bit, or you can clean it up later by carving some of it off. So, in review, for addition, if the object is too small to score, just score the bigger object that it's going to go onto. And that should be fine as long as you press it in really well and slip it, etc. But like this thing right here, whenever I cut that out, I'm going to want to score this whole thing and the object that I put on there, because that's big enough. If you can score it, you should score it. Same thing with these little strawberry things. I'm going to score this whole, if I know I'm going to attach leaves all over this area, I'm going to go ahead and just score it all up, just to make sure it sticks really well when I attach my clay to it. Okay, the last technique for this project is called subtraction, and it's just simply whenever you remove clay by carving. Removing clay with a loop or sgraffito tool when the clay is leather hard. A lot of people go ahead and do this process before the clay gets leather hard, which is fine. The only problem with that is that it leaves a lot of little crumbs, and then the crumbs tend to stick to the clay. This clay is leather hard now. I can't bend it very much. It would break if I did. It's kind of hard, but you can see it's not bone dry yet. It's not turned white. It still looks like wet clay. So that's what you want for this technique. So this is the sgraffito tool. It's the tiniest one with the loop. And then this would be like a medium loop tool. There's all different sizes of these and shapes. So, see if the one that you have in your tools is the size and shape you need. And if not, you look through the drawers to find the appropriate tool. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just carving around my butterfly to make the butterfly wings look like they're kind of sticking out. So I'm really not carving out a design right now. I'm just carving out around the design, the butterfly design. So I'm using the bigger one to kind of remove thin shavings of clay off of here. So you can kind of see how that makes the butterfly look a little like it's sticking up just a little bit more. And I'll work on that some more, getting the detail back in there. And then also, like if I'm gonna do, here's the picture I was looking at. If I'm gonna do some of these designs in here, I could start to carve those out. A lot of people also want to do this technique with the needle tool. The only problem with that is that a needle tool actually isn't carving. It's not carving, it's cutting. So it doesn't remove the clay, and it likes to just leave those little crumbs there. This is the appropriate tool. As long as you remove the crumbs, you're welcome to use the Sgraffito tool if you want to. But removing clay is the last technique you do when it's leather hard. It's called subtraction.